Well, it's time now for this week's GB News People's Poll. Let's take a look at some of those findings. Well, earlier this week, the High Court ruled the government's plan to relocate asylum seekers to Rwanda is lawful after legal challenges from charities and campaign groups. 40% of the public support the government on Rwanda, 29% oppose it, 12% don't have a view, 12% neither oppose nor support, 18% say they don't know. And when asked about whether they agree or disagree that nothing in Britain works anymore, a majority, 57% agree. That includes me, by the way. And let's get some more analysis of the polls with the academic and professor of politics, Matt Goodwin. Matt, afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
The government will be heartened, at least, I think, on the Rwanda figure, 40%, but I thought the figure might have been higher.
Yeah, we've had quite a few polls on this policy issue. They generally show that more people support the plan than oppose it. The numbers go much higher, as you might expect, if you look at Conservative and Leave voters. About 2/3 or thereabouts of those voters say Rwanda's a good plan. More generally, if you actually ask people about the situation in the Channel, the small boats and migration, over 60% of the country now feel that Britain's borders are out of control, would like to see less migration overall. And so this issue isn't going away anytime soon. It's the second issue for all Conservatives in the country, their second top priority. It's the third issue for all voters. So I suspect we'll be talking about it for a while yet.
Yeah. Also, what I thought was really interesting in the poll, Matt, we're on our third Prime Minister this year, unprecedented. It's unprecedented to have three former Prime Ministers sitting on the Conservative benches. But of the three, that's Boris Johnson, Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss, remember her, anybody? Boris seen as the most competent.
Yeah, that's right. So among all voters, he's seen as the most competent of the three. I'd like to meet the 3% who said Liz Truss was the most competent. But among Conservatives, it goes much higher. Among Conservatives, Johnson leads Sunak by 40 points. I mean, it goes to show, actually, that Johnson's brand is still actually exceptionally strong among Conservative voters. And Rishi Sunak is still clearly seen with some suspicion, actually, among Conservative voters. And he's 3 months into the job, obviously trying to turn the ship around. But his ratings are not as strong as perhaps he might have hoped.
Do you think that's some reaction to the budget taxing us ever more, Matt, or the fact that some people still haven't forgiven Sunak for stabbing Boris in the back? He did resign from the cabinet after all, and it was just days later Boris was a goner.
I think there's a bit of that thrown in. I think it's also the politics of inflation. I think Sunak is in number 10 as these big crises are sweeping through the country. I mean, if you look back at 2022 globally, you look at all the elections that have happened around the world, incumbents have either been kicked out of office or have been dramatically weakened, from Emmanuel Macron in France to Joe Biden in the US, from Sweden to Italy, and beyond. So I think partly Rishi Sunak is just finding himself in the hot seat as all of these crises really sweep through the country. But on the other hand, as you say, among Conservative members, among the sort of more diehard supporters, if you like, Sunak has clearly struggled to win over that section of the electorate, largely, I suspect, because he never really had the mandate from members or indeed from voters. So he's already begun from quite a weak position within the parliamentary party.
And there's no comfort for Rishi Sunak either, is there, in this poll, Matt? As we go into a new year, the Tory party is still very much flatlining in a pretty low place.
22%. I mean, this is wipeout territory at the next election. This is worse than John Major did in 1997. And to make it even worse for Sunak and his team, we've got Reform this week on 8%. YouGov have had them on 9%. Recently, Labour are still riding high at over 45% in the polls. Labour are the most trusted party now, bizarrely, on immigration and Brexit, two issues that the Conservatives should really be owning. So, look, if I was Rishi Sunak sitting down to think about what are my resolutions this year, I got priority one is win back Brexit voters. Priority two is, get control of this economy and start reforming the NHS so it actually works. And then I've got to really deal with this issue on the borders, because Conservatives really do care a great deal about a system that, in my personal view, I think rightly, they've concluded is no longer fit for purpose. And if he comes out of the gate in 2023, shooting on all of those flanks, I think he's got a chance of trying to turn things around, particularly if inflation starts to fall and interest rates start to come down through 2023. But everything's against him at this point. I've never seen the Conservative vote this weak in a very, very long time.
All right, that's Matt Goodwin, who's a professor of politics. Thanks for joining us.